Welcome to the Nathan Nephew Show. And another great week of anarchy. I am, of course, Nathan Nephew, your host here. Yep, so the government's been shut down for a while, and has anybody really noticed? You know, unfortunately, the only people who are really impacted, other than furloughed government employees, right, and you know, on a personal level, I feel bad for them. I mean, it's not good to see anybody who has essentially lost their job, at least part-time, who will be paid when they come back. But people that are going on vacation, you know, I heard a story today from a friend of a friend, that they went on vacation, you know, to see Old Faithful, and government shut down while they were there. So they're kicked out, and, you know, I mean, these are the people who have a tangible harm that they've actually endured from the government shutdown. I mean, and then of course, you know, way worse than that, veterans trying to visit the World War II memorial. It's closed down. There's barricades everywhere. You can't come in because who's going to empty the trash cans, I guess, is the reasoning. But it turns out that there are certain groups that can have these open air spaces open for them, and we'll get to that. I want to talk about it. Who Obama, Nancy Pelosi thanked Obama, and we'll get to that. What group do you think he opened up the mall for? Was it veterans? I don't know. But before we get to that, I want to continue with the Constitution of the United States, which is something, you know, I really hope Obama listens to this show, because I would like him to, you know, hear the Constitution for the first time. He taught constitutional law, but I'm not sure he's ever read it. And if he has, he needs to maybe go back, review it, and apply it. Last we did Article 1, Section 9. This time we will do Article 1, Section 10. It's crazy how that works. No state shall enter into a treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. So, that sounds just like Article 1, Section 9, as it applies to the United States, only it applies to the states. Now, something additional in here, emit bills of credit. The United States Congress can issue credit. States cannot. Michigan cannot issue credit based on Article 1, Section 10. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports, except that may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws. And then that produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of Treasury of the United States, and all such laws shall be subject to revision and control of the Congress. So a state cannot charge a duty, an impost on anything being imported, exported, unless Congress says they can. And they definitely, they can do it to cover costs for inspecting, the goods that are being imported, exported. Anything else, Congress must approve it. Anything above actually covering the costs also goes to the United States. So the states can't actually make any revenue from this. So it's interesting. If they do, that money is going to the Treasury of the United States, not of that specific state. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state, or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. So, states cannot wage war, they can't keep troops and ships in time of peace unless they're actually being invaded now. So if somebody comes and invades Michigan, where I'm at, of course Michigan can defend itself. That is Article 1 of the Constitution of the United States. That's it. Nothing too complicated. You know, you may not have it memorized. I don't have it memorized, but I have a nice reference. I have the Constitution here. You go back, you look at it, you say, well, no. Turns out that a lot of stuff that's going on is not in this Constitution. Maybe we should look at the Constitution and kind of do the things that are in the Constitution the way that they were meant to be done. But instead, we'll just do anything we want. We'll pass laws. We'll sign executive orders. We'll make rules. You know, we'll pat people down at the airport. You know, I mean, because you go and if you want to fly in an airplane, then someone's going to have to see you naked. I mean, there's really no other option than to pat you down. I recently went on a couple business trips, and you know, I'm not. It's interesting because I've flown a bunch of times. I've never had any issues. I always get right through. But I was leaving a very liberal city. In almost everybody, I would say 2 people before me and 2 or 3 after me, while I was standing there getting dressed again, their bags were gone through and they were patted down. I mean, half of those people were patted down. All of their bags were looked through. Mine wasn't. So I guess they had something that was more, you know, suspicious than anything I had. But I was like, wow. You know, I mean, and maybe it's the TSA trying to show that they actually are doing something. You know, screening people a little extra, you know. I mean, this little old woman, she has something in her bag that's kind of, you know, we don't know what it is. And frankly, it's none of our business. But we're going to look at it because we have to do something. We have to justify why we're here during the government shutdown. Why we are so essential. Because, you know, before the TSA, air travel it didn't work. You know, I mean, geez. There were people all, you know, running around. You know, guns everywhere, bazookas, grenades, bombs, everywhere in the airport before the TSA. But now that we have the TSA, we are safe when we travel. Except I'm not sure they've caught too many terrorists. I am not sure that they've caught too many, if any, at all. Next week, we will move on to Article 2. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. So I don't know if you've guessed, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that there was a rally yesterday, actually, in Washington, D.C., on the mall, you know, one of these open-air places that is closed down. There's a sign there. Well, I mean, there's only one little section of fence. You know, one of those little temporary fences that they put up that kind of look like a bike rack. There was one little section that said, please don't come in here, it's closed. Thousands of people, or however many, in there protesting. They were allowed in there. People from Congress, Nancy Pelosi, like I mentioned. And guess who it was and what rally it was? Well, it was not, in fact, World War II veterans who wanted to see the memorial that was erected in honor of them, the World War II memorial, also out in the open. It was a rally for illegal immigration. A rally for amnesty, I should say. To get rid of illegal immigration and not get rid of it by not allowing it. Get rid of it by making what is currently illegal not illegal anymore. So if you support the president and his ideas of amnesty, of just letting everybody come into this country, he'll open the mall for you. You can walk right in. You can walk around. It doesn't matter. We don't need people to empty the trash if you're here illegally. Now, if you were a veteran, if you served this country, if you helped us be successful in World War II, which was a fairly significant undertaking, it doesn't matter. Go home. What are you doing here? You don't need to see your memorial that you have never been able to see and may never be able to see again. It doesn't matter. But if you support amnesty, if you're here to rally to legalize everybody who's already broken the laws of this country, then, of course, just come right in. Nancy Pelosi gets up on there and she doesn't beat around the bush on who's responsible. She said, let's thank President Barack Obama for allowing this rally to happen. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing us to come into this area that is closed down, that can magically be opened, even though it's shut down because of lack of funding. Somehow we found funding. Now let's see. So money, we learned this when we went through Article 1. Money cannot be spent unless an appropriation for that money has been made, and that appropriation must be made by Congress. And if Congress doesn't pass a budget that appropriates money to keeping the mall open, which in and of itself is ridiculous because it's an area outside. But the federal government, the Obama administration, made the decision that since Congress did not pass appropriations bills to keep the mall open, that they were closing it. Where the hell did he find the money to open it for this rally? Possibly he was ignoring the Constitution and said, I can do anything I want. And in fact, the mall is only closed because it makes people angry. And I want to be able to say the Republicans did it. And I'll blame the Republicans. And it'll be good. This is getting more and more ridiculous. More and more. Every day that the government's closed, something new comes out. Like a restaurant being closed. Or a farm being closed that gets no public money. Or the parking lot at Mount Vernon being closed. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. I want to talk about these veterans who were promised benefits. When they enlisted, they were promised that their families would be taken care of if they didn't make it back. In yesterday, we saw that maybe there was some question about that because of the government shutdown. I want to talk about that a bit. I will be right back.
When it comes to TV, if you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best value in entertainment. Not only will you find the same channels you know and love for less, Dish sweetens the deal with free HD for life and premium movie channels free for 3 months, including Blockbuster at home. You can also save a bundle when you combine DishNet high-speed internet with your TV service. Why would you ever pay more for TV? Switch to Dish and see what real value is. Free HD for life, premium channels free for 3 months, scores of movies with Blockbuster at home, premium savings when you bundle DishNet high-speed internet service. Limited time offer, 24-month agreement with credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Call for details.
Call Dish Satellite, your Dish authorized retailer now. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. That's 800-507-9468.
Red State Talk Radio is All American Talk Radio.
The Nathan Nephew Show. Somewhat unique.
Somewhat unique?
Yes, somewhat unique.
All right, welcome back to the Nathan Nephew Show. I am Nathan Nephew, of course. Check out my website, nathannephew.com. You'll find this show, you'll find previous shows. You'll also stay right here on Red State Talk Radio, listen to other great shows, such as Ad Odds, which I happen to also be a host of. I'm a co-host on that one with Brian Jeffs, adoddshow.com. Now, before the break, I was talking about these military heroes, right, that risk their lives. They take some of the best years of their most people's lives, and they dedicate it to serving our country, serving us, serving the Constitution, upholding the Constitution, defending the Constitution. And we promise them when they go in that if something happens, they don't make it back. And hopefully that isn't the case, but we know it happens all too often. That we will take care of their families. And in fact, 4 soldiers died, 5 last weekend. They're entitled to, I think it's $100,000 of benefits for funeral costs, travel costs to Dover Airport to get the bodies, and just benefits, and that's just part of the deal. But what's coming out, Chuck Hagel, the defense secretary, he's saying that when Congress passed a bill last week, the Pay Our Military Act, and basically what it was the government shutdown, but let's pass this one bill that ensures our military gets paid, they get the benefits they're entitled to. Chuck Hagel, the defense secretary, is saying, well, you know what? That included active military. I did not include anybody who died while serving in the military. So if you're killed in action, this bill doesn't cover you. Now, it's obvious that was not the intent of the bill. And in fact, I'm not even so sure that that's what the bill did, that it exempted the government from paying for death benefits. And of course, you have one side, you have Harry Reid saying, "Oh, this shutdown is it's tragic and it's embarrassing, and we need the other side to do better work because they're not working with us at all. They've asked us to sit down and negotiate several times, but we're just not going to negotiate because we don't negotiate with terrorists, jihad terrorists, extremists, anarchists, arsonists. We don't negotiate with them." Well, of course, the other side saying, no, it turns out it was a choice that to make those payments. I mean, to me, those are essential payments. Make the payments, deal with it later. These people are going to war. They're in Afghanistan, fighting for our country. And we're not even going to take care of their families. They said if their families want to meet them at Dover and have a memorial funeral, that they're going to have to do it through a private donation. If they don't have the money themselves, they're going to have to raise it, and it's not really our fault. It doesn't, I mean, we just want this shutdown to be as difficult as possible, and we're so damn petty and so cowardly that we're willing to impact the families of veterans who died while serving their country. It's despicable. Absolutely despicable. Now, I will point out that a private charity did step up and offer to pay for these, so hopefully pay for the family's trips to Dover and whatnot. So hopefully the family is taken care of and they can get their benefits at a later date, but that is not the point. There are some things we don't mess with. I'm all for the government being shut down because we see 1 million federal employees being furloughed, and it hasn't made much of a difference. Weather.gov is still up and functioning, because weather.gov helps save people's lives. But we can't pay the death benefits for military men and women. That's just crazy to me. The last thing I want to touch on is Obamacare, because it's always fun to talk about Obamacare and how well it's doing and how many people have signed up and how many healthy 30-year-olds have qualified for Medicaid. Heritage put out an ad. I think they were promoting Obamacare. I'm going to play it. It's about 1.5 minutes. And, it seems pretty accurate.
Now I'm covered.
Now for the first time, you can be covered. If you've been waiting to be covered in mandates, regulations, and new fees, the time is finally here. Sort of. You guys stop showing that screen. So make some coffee.
I'm covered.
Approach life with reckless abandon. Kick your feet up.
I'm covered.
Because you're going to be in the waiting room for quite a while. But don't you worry your pretty little head off. First of all, it wouldn't be covered.
We're covered.
No, I said it would not be covered.
Now we're covered.
No, that's not... Yeah, I don't think you understood what I meant by covered earlier. It was a little bit ironic. Seriously, stop showing that screen. Healthcare.gov is not responsible for fulfilling any of the expectations, mandates, legal requirements, hopes, or dreams of any users. Results may vary. Consult your Obamacare-approved doctor or pharmacist to find out if Obamacare is right for you. Current waiting lists to have your doctor chosen for you are unavailable and will remain so for the foreseeable future. Obamacare may cause wait times, a decline in healthcare quality, money loss, political activism, anger, despair, hopelessness, frustration, European envy, pendants, and nausea. If you discover that your premiums have gone up as a result of Obamacare, please note that the program is working as intended and refrain from complaining. Call your doctor if you experience anxiety for longer than 4 hours. If you wish to opt out of Obamacare for any reason, please start a multi-million-dollar business, join a union, or run for Congress.
So that was heritage.org. That's a Heritage Foundation, and they've been on this Obamacare thing for quite a while. It's just obvious that it's not good for the country. It's not what any sort of freedom-loving nation would impose on its citizens. And that assumes that the United States of America is still intended to be a freedom-loving nation, which it is. And the screen they kept showing when he said, "Oh, seriously, don't show that," was the screen you've seen many times since Obamacare, since the marketplace is open, was "Oh, we're sorry, the system is currently down." $93 million later, it seems like the issues aren't really going to be resolved anytime soon. We could go months and months or years even with these issues, and it's not... Some of it initially maybe traffic volume. Everybody rushed to it, not just people going to sign up, but people like me who are interested in seeing what's going on, and reporters and who knows, people from other countries, everything else. But first of all, you need to be able to handle the load. Second of all, the load cannot be as consistently large, that large consistently for this long. Problems now are not due to traffic. It's poor design. It's a government program. Now, what I do feel bad about is that really you have to look at the IT people behind this whole thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it was a mismanaged project, like everything in government. We know Obamacare in general is just a monstrosity that is destined to fail. So I don't know why the website sign up, purchase insurance and the exchange would be any different. But these are issues that big companies, think of the traffic Facebook gets, right? And they handle it pretty well, or Twitter, LinkedIn, any of these big web companies. So you have to look at the planning and foresight of just the infrastructure and the IT work that's happened, and how bad those people must feel, if they care at all. I don't know. But holy cow, so they worked for years, because this wasn't just a month or two like most companies have for a project. They had 3 years to get this implemented. Now, I know how projects go, and I know how the government works. They probably didn't implement it until recently, and it was managed poorly. They didn't have the correct resources. The scope probably wasn't accurate, I'm sure. But still, the person or group responsible for that website, for that system, for the marketplace, the exchange, they have to be embarrassed. Someone knows who it is. and that I would not want to be part of a project like that. I am pretty much out of time, though. I want to remind you once again, go to my website, nathannephew.com. Look me up on Facebook, and also stay tuned in right here on Red State Talk Radio. See you next week.